I've done 913,701 Anki reviews. That's 225 full days of my life. And for most of that time, I was doing it wrong. I just went back through all of it to find what actually improves your memory and test scores the fastest. The first thing is FSRS. If you're spending an hour or more a day on Anki reviews and it feels like it's only getting worse, the problem probably isn't you. It's probably Anki's default algorithm. Anki's default algorithm is called SM2, which stands for Super Memo 2. Now, this was created all the way back in 1987. It may have been designed before you were born, and it's a spaced repetition algorithm that decides when you see every single card, in other words, when you're most likely to forget it, and therefore when you need to review it so that you can remember it in the most efficient manner. Now, there's a relatively new setting that most people don't know exists that's called FSRS. This stands for the Free Spaced Repetition Scheduler. Unlike the default Super Memo algorithm that was built nearly 40 years ago, this one is built on machine learning. Specifically, it learns your personal forgetting patterns and optimizes when to show you each card. I coach students through some of the hardest medical exams in the world, and this one setting has completely changed the game for the ones who know how to use it correctly. For me specifically, I went through my data from before I turned on FSRS and after I turned on FSRS, and the results were pretty shocking. For me, the median number of cards per day studied was 159 reviews per day before I turned on FSRS. Afterwards, it went to 73 reviews per day. That's literally less than half the number of reviews per day that I was doing after I turned on FSRS than before. Now, here's the crazy part. My retention didn't drop. Before, it was 90.3%, and after, it was 90.4%, which is virtually the exact same. In other words, the old algorithm was just showing me more cards that I didn't necessarily need to see yet. Now, if you're wondering, oh my God, did I waste all of my time doing SM2? The answer is no. Every review still counts. Your memory still benefited from doing all those reviews. It's just that the FSRS algorithm makes your future reviews more efficient, right? All of those reviews that you've been doing has basically been training the algorithm that it can now use to make it so that you don't have to spend nearly so much time on Anki every single day to get the same benefits for memory retention. So how do we turn on FSRS? First, hit the gear icon next to one of the decks and hit Options. Then scroll down to FSRS. If you haven't enabled it before, be sure to toggle the button to enable it. Once you do that, hit Optimize All Presets. This should take a short period of time while it goes through all of your prior reviews and make sure that it learns your specific pattern for how often you hit again, and hard, and good, and easy. Now, note that the default desired retention is 0.9. What that means is that you're saying to the algorithm, I want to remember the card about 90% of the time. If I hit hard or easy or good, roughly 90% of the time, then I've hit my sort of desired retention goal. I highly recommend that you stick to 0.9 because if you go from 0.9 to 100%, it can literally increase the amount of time that you spend on Anki by about 5 times. The goal with Anki isn't to get every single card correct every single time. The goal is to remember the information in your deck at an extremely high level, and the sweet spot for doing that is to make sure that your retention is 90%. Now, if you're brand new to Anki, I would probably wait about a month before turning on FSRS. And the reason for that is that it needs your data first before it can know your patterns to optimize your retention algorithm. Now, this next part is critical to make sure that FSRS doesn't totally screw up your studying. After having worked with over 1,000 students with Anki, I can tell you that the number one mistake that people make when they turn on FSRS is that they were perfectionists when they were doing their Anki cards. Now, what do I mean by perfectionist? A perfectionist will hit again on like everything, even if they're slightly unsure about it. Right? I used to do this. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid that I'm not going to remember this card, or the interval on this card says it's going to show it to me again in 3 months, and my test for whatever test I was studying for is in like a week. So I'm going to hit again just so that I force myself to see that card again on the off chance that I might forget it and the algorithm was wrong. The problem with hitting again or hard too often, even when it's not actually true, is twofold. First, when you are doing those reviews, you will be reviewing a lot of extra cards unnecessarily, right? If the algorithm says, I'm going to remember this card for 3 months, there's a 90% chance that I will remember it for 3 months, right? Because if our retention is set at 90%, we should, in theory, be able to retain that information at a 90% rate for the interval that it's set. If I say, no, instead, I forgot this information and I want to reset the algorithm, then I'm actually going to have to see that card many more times over the next 3 months than I would otherwise need to do. That's the first problem. The second problem is more insidious, which is that FSRS learns from our button pressing. FSRSs. So if I'm hitting, again, 30% of the time, whereas really I should only be hitting it about 10% of the time, then FSRS is going to think that I have a terrible memory, and it's going to compress all of my intervals. That benefit of literally having half as many reviews might reverse, right? Instead of going from a median review of 150 to like 70, I might go from 150 to like 200 because FSRS has actually learned that my memory is not that great, and I'm actually hitting again or hard so often that I actually need to see the cards more frequently in order to get a retention of 90%. If you're a medical student or a doctor preparing for either the USMLEs or COMLEX or one of your medical board exams, then be sure to sign up for our free 14-step program where we'll walk you through the most efficient ways for you to improve your score in a short period of time. And if you're interested in getting there faster, be sure to book a free call with our team where we'll break down what it is that's holding you back and, if it makes sense, explain how it is that we can help you to get there more efficiently. This is an important difference from SM2 because the old algorithm basically reset the card to square one when you hit again. FSRS is smarter. If I had an interval where it was like, the next time I hit good on this card, I might see it in 10 years. If I hit again, it's not going to reset the interval back to 1 day, which is, what it would be if it was a new card. Instead, it's going to reduce it. So maybe I might see it if I hit again, but then I hit good the next time. I might see it in like 4 years or 2 years or something like that, right? In other words, it will show it to me sooner than it would have had I remembered the card. However, it's not going to treat it as if I'd completely forgotten and I had to relearn it from scratch. So what's the simple rule to remember to make sure that FSRS is going to help you and not harm you? About 90% of the time, just hit good. In other words, don't hit again unnecessarily. Don't hit hard if you really do understand it, right? Instead, really just pick a lane. Either you knew it and you should hit good, or you don't know it and you should hit again, right? The ones that you generally forget, you would hit again. And the ones that you actually know, you would hit good. Maybe like 5% of the time you can hit hard, but do not overuse hard, because that's, again, one of the most common mistakes that I see people make is that they're perfectionists, they don't really trust themselves, and they hit hard or again way too often, and it hurts them both in the short term and when they try to turn on something like FSRS later. If you do find yourself hitting again more than 20% of the time, then there's probably something wrong. Either you are really a perfectionist or your cards are probably too long and they're too difficult, and so you need to make sure that you are making better cards that aren't quite so impossible. So FSRS optimizes the algorithm so that you can get more done in less time, but I was still spending way too long in reviews that should have been faster. And the fix had actually nothing to do with Anki. So have you ever noticed that the same set of reviews that takes you like 25 minutes one day, it might take you 45 minutes another day, or sometimes the same reviews can take like, 3 times as much time? It's the same cards, it's the same difficulty, but somehow we're being twice as slow. That is not a focus problem. Instead, it's a timing problem. I used to grind through my reviews at the end of the day when I was exhausted. The cards did not change, but because I was so tired, my brain was just in a fog. I made one move, which was to take my reviews from when I had the least amount of energy at the end of the day, and I started doing them in the beginning of the day when I had the most energy. For me, that was the morning. Even though I'm not really a morning person, I knew that after a long day, I was not going to have a ton of energy. For you, it might be a little different, but the key is that you want to do your cards when you're most alert, right? Because doing Anki cards is challenging, and so you want to have that mental energy to actually be able to do them properly, because the more energy you have, the faster they're going to go. I found that my reviews went a lot faster when I had more energy, and so I started an experiment, which was I started to do my cards while I was exercising. I would do things like the stationary bike, or on the elliptical, or a Stairmaster. At the time, I was living in an apartment complex, and I would just use the apartment sort of gym for this purpose. But you can do this with any sort of exercise equipment. I would just sit there with my phone and I would just do my cards while I was exercising. Note that I tried it on a treadmill once and I almost fell off, so probably don't do that. But on a stationary bike or other things where I wasn't gonna fall off, my per card time to study dropped dramatically. I was getting cards done literally 2 to sometimes even 3 times faster just by doing some light to moderate exercise. The reason was I was more alert, there was probably a lot more blood flowing to my brain, and the other thing, to be honest, is that I told myself I will not get off this exercise machine until I'm done with my cards. And so I was sort of incentivized not to like check my email or, read the news or do other things on my phone, because it would just prolong the amount of time that I had to sit there on the stationary bike or whatever it is that I was doing. So combining timing, in other words, studying at the right time of day when I had more energy, and light to moderate exercise, my daily review time literally went down by more than half. So if you find yourself doing Anki cards for, say, 2 hours every day, just by cutting down your Anki reviews by doing FSRS and by studying with more energy and by doing light to moderate exercise, it's not uncommon to see people literally 2x the speed at which they are doing Anki cards, which might mean that you could save an extra hour every single day, which you could use for, personal time, or you could use it to do more practice questions. You could do it to learn more things. There is so much that you can do if you can just cut down on the amount of time that you're spending reviewing every single day because you're being more efficient with your cards. Now, note that this isn't like a tip that I read somewhere. This is literally something that I've had to figure out the hard way from over 16 years of doing Anki every single day and noticing the patterns in my own data, because I've actually been tracking how many cards I've done every day and how long it took and what sorts of things I needed to do in order to make sure that this thing that I had committed to 17 years ago was actually going to be something that would be sustainable in my life. Now, if you want more on how to use Anki effectively to improve your test scores forever, be sure to hit subscribe, because we've got tons of videos both now and in the future where we're going to talk more about how you can get more done in less time. So now I was reviewing in the right time, in the right state, but it doesn't matter how fast you are if the cards themselves are bad. Now, have you ever gotten a flashcard right in Anki? Like, you could answer it perfectly and then the exam asked the same concept in a slightly different way and then you were completely stuck? If that happens, that probably means that your cards are testing memorization, not actually understanding. Now, when I started, this was exactly true of me. Most of my old cards when I started were just random facts. I would put the drug name and then I would put the side effect. Or I would have the diagnosis of something and then I would put the treatment. Or I literally would just have cards where it was like an entire PowerPoint slide from one of our lectures, and I would put that information into the back of a card and I would just ask some random question on the front of it, like, tell me about mycoplasma pneumonia or something like that. Now, for the purposes of my exams in school, this actually worked quite fine. Like, in Stanford, I think I had the highest score on the entire cardiology midterm because I had just memorized pretty much all of the major facts that I needed to know for all of the lectures for that particular section. Now, the issue is that because I'd memorized it and I didn't actually understand it, when I actually was doing practice questions, I was lost. Like, I did not actually understand how to use the information. It was just like this kind of random collection of facts. Now, the fix to this, to both make your cards more broadly applicable, right? So not just for exams, like, exams like the USMLEs or the MCAT or the SATs or things like that, but also to make it genuinely more useful in your life. Like if you are going to be a doctor, like in your clinical practice, or if you're going to be a scientist, like in your actual scientific practice, the key to making these cards better is to learn the principle behind the fact. So one principle can literally replace 5 or 10 or even 100 cards, depending on how deep that principle is and how broadly you can apply it. It will both decrease the number of reviews you do, increase your retention, and mean that you have a lot more time in your day to spend on other things. I'll give you an example. So in medicine, there is something called an epidural hematoma. A hematoma is kind of like a bruise. Epidural means it is epi, so above the dura, which is like a covering on the brain. A bad card would be like, what artery is involved? What is the classic presentation? And then the back might be something like the middle meningeal artery, and there is a lucid interval, which is like the classic sort of presentation for an epidural hematoma. Now, those are just two disconnected facts, which is kind of how a lot of people make their cards. Now, a better card would say something like, epidural hematoma, use the source of bleeding to explain the speed of presentation. The back would be something like this. Because it's an artery, right, it's the middle meningeal artery, an artery has a higher pressure than a vein. And so because it's higher pressure, then the blood is going to accumulate a lot faster, which means that you're going to get compression of the brain a lot sooner, which means that you're going to have herniation or whatever symptoms within a few hours. Now, if you contrast that with a subdural hematoma, which is a venous bleed, a vein has a lot lower pressure, which means it's going to accumulate blood over a much longer period of time. And because of that, we know that it takes a lot more time for it to present. We had a student named Tanya who she was literally failing out of medical school. She had failed her board exams 4 times, which is technically the maximum number of times that you can fail the board exams. And she had one more attempt before she would never be a doctor ever. And in order to get this 5th attempt, she actually had to petition a state medical board to allow her to sit for a 5th time. She had been drowning in all sorts of reviews. She was doing tons of practice questions, everything that people told her to do, and she still wasn't able to figure it out. The major thing that she did was she rebuilt her system around making flashcards that would test principles and understand and apply those principles. And she literally went from being one of the worst students who had failed 4 times to scoring in the top 0.1% on the exact same exams. Now, I made a whole video on this, and so be sure to stick around until the end. But the key is that the better the cards that you make means that the fewer reviews and the more time you're going to have in your day to do other things. Now, this has changed my lives and other people's lives, but I was still losing time on every single one of my cards until I made 2 tiny changes. So if you're doing more than 100 Anki cards per day, you know that how it is that you write every single card makes a massive difference in how easy or difficult it is for you to be able to understand what the question's asking. So to make it easier on yourself and to make your cards more efficient, what I have found makes a massive difference is to put the subject first. So every single card, I put it the exact same way. I put the subject first, and then I put a hyphen, and then I'll put a question. So for example, I would say something like caffeine hyphen, connect its use to the ways that you can administer it. Notice how I didn't say connect how caffeine is used to how caffeine is administered. Notice in the first way, by putting the subject first, I know immediately what the subject is. And so my brain can instantly go into, oh, okay, this is about caffeine before I even read the rest of the question. This alone can save you at least 5 seconds per card, which when you do 100 cards or more of reviews per day over many, many days, really does add up. The second thing that I found that makes a massive difference is to create summaries for long cards. Now, if the back of your card is longer than 2 or 3 sentences, just having a 1 or 2 sentence summary at the top is a massive time saver. Because 90% of the time, that's all you're gonna need, right? Because our retention is such that we should remember, right? If we set our retention to 0.9, and as long as we don't hit again or hard unnecessarily, about 90% of the time, we should remember that card. Which means the summary should be enough for us to just test our knowledge and be like, oh, yep, that's right. Now, I would still have a detailed version underneath that card because about 10% of the time we will actually forget that, which means, and so having more detailed information as a way to refresh your memory is actually a pretty useful and efficient way to make sure that you don't have to go back and like find the textbook that you found that particular fact in. But 90% of the time, the summary works just fine. And so it will also dramatically reduce the amount of time that you need to spend reviewing your cards because you don't have to sit there reading every single word in 4 paragraphs of information. The other side benefit is that I used to procrastinate at any time I saw long cards, right? Like if you've ever sat there doing Anki and then you see a really challenging card and you immediately start checking your email or something like that. By having a summary and making it easier both in the front of the card, right? To make it easy to understand the subject by putting the subject first and then a hyphen, and then on the back end by making a summary at the top of the card, those things make a massive difference. So let me show you what your life can look like when you put all this together. So this is 16 years of my Anki data. Now, I actually used AI to review a lot of this information. And so what I found is that in 2022 was my worst year for time. I spent about 472 hours doing Anki reviews. That's about 72 minutes per day, a median. And I remember at that time, it was pretty miserable. It was like the middle of the pandemic and I like had to do all of these Anki reviews, even though I wasn't actually making a lot of new cards. Just keeping on top of the information was taking me over an hour a day. Now, fast forward to 2025, it was only 186 hours that I was spending on Anki with pretty much the same number of cards, maybe actually a little bit more cards in my deck. And this was about 25 minutes per day at a median. I was able to retain more information, and in about a third of the time, I was able to get the same amount of retention for that information. That's literally 286 hours in a year saved, which is like 12 full days that I got back. What did I do with those hours? I've been able to spend more time with my family. I've been able to go out to eat more. I've been able to take on more students for coaching, expand our business more. I got to spend more time on the things that actually mattered instead of just staring at flashcards every day, trying to retain that information. Now, it's hard to know the exact percentages of exactly how much each of those changes contributed because, you know, some of these changes I had done before this and some of them I had made after, but I can tell you that the major change that I did that allowed me to like reduce so much my review time was FSRS. Because a lot of times, like I had learned over time that, you know, doing cards when I was doing exercise and doing it at better times would improve my reviews. And I had learned over time to do summaries and to, you know, change the formatting of my cards and to focus more on principles as opposed to just memorizing facts. But the major difference that I had between those times was FSRS. Like conservatively, I would estimate that FSRS cut my review time probably by half. Just remember, these are all compounding effects of small changes. None of them themselves may feel like they are that life altering. However, when you put them together, they can completely transform your experience with Anki and your retention, right? Like let's say that you're working full time and you're only able to study for 2 hours a day. Literally reducing your Anki time from say like an hour to maybe like a half hour, which would increase your study time by 50%. You could literally get to your goal, whatever it is in terms of your score or grades or whatever, literally 50% faster. So for 16 years, I did 913,701 reviews. And the thing that actually moved the needle wasn't doing more, it was actually doing less, but doing it in the right way. Now, if you want to see exactly how to build better cards, like the kinds that replace 5 fat cards with one principle, I break it down step by step in this video where I talk about how I reviewed 28,655 flashcards every day for 17 years, and I barely had to study. So be sure to click here for that video.